What's poppin' people, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. We have some BT15 footage. You see Armour, and if you see my most recent deck profile, which will be linked in the description and in the cards, then you'll know that Armour is kind of playable in BT15. I am using the proxies for the new starter deck Magnamon. My opponent was gracious enough to let me play it just ahead of time just to see if it does indeed put in the work. We're considering going for a Veemon to just bounce the Lunamon back, but it was going to pass over a lot of memory, but they are going to hit into just a single target. This one on the ADP on several Goodnight Moons, as you'll have seen from the deck profile at the front, if I got it in time. And we are just going to see that Lunamon drop down. We're going to bounce. We're going to strip the Coronamon source, and then we are going to bounce the Lunamon just to try and take that pressure out. And we can swing. We're going to get the draw on the Wanyamon. We're on Wanya just to kind of see if we like the card filtering, because there's obviously the ability to use Xiaomon, but the person I was getting a 4th Xiaomon off did not have it on them that day. So, getting some Wanyamon data. Pressamon going to come down. It is going to get the suspension prevention. So Magnet, not going to be able to block this next attack. And it looks like we're going to see Dianamon just to strip out 2. So Magnamon now just going to be EX Sauride. We have the Bukamon jamming egg, so we're going to go Veemon over it, and then we're going to go into Wegarumon Ace. Effects when Digivolving, draw 1, and then since we have 5 or more, we get to trash 1. And then, because the card was trash, that stops Dianamon from going sideways. And then, do we just pass? Okay, we're going to training for 2. Training, fine training, not ideal. We're going to go into Magnamon Ace here. It is actually kind of a little bit awkward. I think the problem with having aces as your 5s, it means that Dianamon kind of just eats you alive, because she can just selective source strip out the ace. I'm going to see the double hit here, where they're going to be taking the blue target, and they are going to pick up the other Tamer. That's the only kind of saving grace we have right now, is there's no Tamer. But, I mean, okay, we're going to use the Lunamon effects to go down, then Sunmon going to evolve for 1. Again, just a single target. A lot of out-of-archetype options available to them in this list, so I'm not going to be seeing double hits a frequent amount. And things get pretty awkward for us here. You can see, considering dropping the Goodnight Moon, they're going to drop it and stun it, and they're also going to stun the Daiken, and that's going to be Koensaiyo played down, and they're not going to use the Koensaiyo effect. Going to gain 1 off of the Davis Ken. We just have to figure out what it is we want to do here. We're going to go crack the training to evolve for 1. And it's going to be +2. Dianamon did get stunned. We're going to go Wegarumon Ace once again. We're going to draw 1 and trash 1 to stop Lekkas from going sideways. We'll put X Antibody underneath, and then we'll go into Omnimon, which will bottom deck the Dianamon. And we can... Are we just going to get rid of the Magnet Ace? I think we do, because that means that we'll always have a source under it. And we're going to get rid of the blue Tamer. There's a red Tamer, GraceNova, and a Beomon in there, so we're just going to leave those in security. We can't swing, so weren't able to make use of the combat step, but we've at least played a little bit of board clear. And all we need to do is drop the rookie in order to draw by effects. Gonna stun the... Okay, actually gonna change it to stunning the Omnimon, because I think they're just gonna Dianamon to source strip. Yeah, Dianamon is gonna strip 2 out of the Omnimon, but that's where they get the stun here. They did the manual stun to make sure that they can get rid of it. They're gonna play down the blue Tamer. As much as we tried to get rid of it, they did have one. Suspend the red Tamer. Ko would send Diana to the bottom, and then we're going to be able to Apollo. Do we have an Apollo? Yeah, looks like we're going to do it. So Ko goes sideways. So there's the evolution, and then they gain 1. Gonna play a second blue tamer. Choosing not to blitz, instead using the Sio effect to play out of the same level, go into GraceNova, strip the sources, and then pop, overflow 3, skips turn. So back over to them on 3. Draw for turn, raise, gain 1 off the Corona, and they're set up quite nicely here. I'm going to use the co-effects to turn Corona 1 down to Guri, then evolve into Luna in 1 step, so it does not get deleted. And we are going to use the Sio and Co to gain 2, and then go into Firemon. Firemon going to find targets. And still just going to do the full loop. Evolve for 2 because it is a Gurimon rather than a Sunmon. Does hit into 2, so it gets to take an Apollo and a Luna. And we've got nothing in raising here, so we're in a little bit of trouble. Firemon set up. I'm going to go GraceNova. Is going to pop the... He's going to pop the Omni, and there's where our Magna X as well, which is why we couldn't find the second one. Oh, Fire Rocket is going to attempt to pop the GraceNova. Just going to pop those 2 level 6s out, and then he's going to hit into a Daiken. But we don't have anything, so we're just going to scoop it up and go into game 2. Alright, going into game 2. Security setup at the start this time. We do have a Veemon, and we're going to play the Shu Yulin. Not a blue tamer though, so the Wanya's not actually going to trigger, which is a little bit unfortunate. It's another instance where I think the Shaomon actually does have more value. Gonna find a red vaccine off the Biomon. But no red tamer to find, so we're just gonna play the Sio over. Very expensive blue tamer there. Reduce the cost by 1 because Veemon doesn't care about the tamer color. Ooh, so we shouldn't draw off. Oh no, we do draw off having the 2 colors off of the promo Veemon. And we're going to take the Magnamon X antibody rather than the Davis, because we want to be able to just set up that big old wall as fast as possible. Very expensive evolution. By playing this memory setter early, we've really managed to just make it difficult for them to kind of play and keep up. Crack the training, going to evolve into Magna X. For 2. Swing at security, 2 colors, draw 1. We are gonna pseudo armor purge down. And then we could just go for it again. But instead we're gonna go for Magnamon in the back. Not choosing to go... I would have, like in hindsight, I guess I would have liked to see the Davis played. So I think we drew into a Davis off that. Either way. I'm gonna print our memory and we are going to find just that single target, the Apollo. We can get the crest stun here, which is why I also would prefer to go wider. Although that said, there's an Apollo in hand. And they've got the stun, they've got the Apollo anyway, so they can just kind of swing at security. I think they're just trying to figure out some memory efficiency, because a 1-cost blitz is basically a 6-cost blitz, so they're going to play the Lunamon, and then they're going to go into Apollo for 4. Draw for Evo, swing at security, first check, attempt to pop. Will not succeed on the second, and then we're going to Digivolve 1 as the Magnamon pops out of security, then evolve into the Veemon, which is then going to strip and bounce the Luna, so actual maximum value there as the Magna just goes back down. We did actually, I think we're going to do some tales from like top tables as well, from just like stuff that's off camera. We saw that interaction happen again, but with even more value. Gonna see the draw off of hitting and crashing and float into a Veemon, which is going to find something. The Magnamon, of course, is stunned, but we're going to go into the starter deck. Magnamon for 3. Draw, going to strip out the source, nothing to bounce. But we've taken out the rookie, which means now it's a 5 over an egg. So if he tries to use the red tamer, Ko's not going to be able to... He's not going to be able to go straight back up into a 5, but actually have to go into a 3. Just because of how evolution works. So the selective source strip actually causes massive problems with this deck. Fine 3, but unfortunately, no blue target, and the GraceNova and Flaremon are considered that secondary one. I'm gonna print 3 memory off the rookie inherit. And wanting to go for the 4 to go down, but he wants to go into a 5 there, and I do stop him because, yeah, it's down to an egg. So gonna give back that 4 memory to 5, and we're looking pretty good. Unfortunately, we did actually lose the finals footage because the recording phone turned off, which is never done before. But you can look forward to some footage from a different local. My friend primitivekage sending me over some footage from his locals. So you'll be seeing that, just to sort of change things up. And still get you your 3 uploads a week. Once again, going for the stun. That right-hand stack really has just been getting stunned over and over. But it does draw too, so I don't really blame him for just frequently shutting it down. And he's going to go for Goodnight Moon, which is going to stun the Jewel Tamer, and it's going to stun the other Magnamon again. So, still manages to get value out of it. I'm going to still gain that memory off of the Daiken. Going to go into the Magna X, and then we're going to go into Omni X, which is just going to spin the 2 of the same level. We're going to check the security and just put them down to 1. And it just means that we're presenting lethal on board and a rookie in the back, just in case. We've set him pretty far back. Staying on the 5s in order to try and like slow us down, which pretty valid. Does get the double stun. I'm very aware of time here, so I need to take this game in order to make sure that we're not just playing that like slow timeout. Evolve is strip and bounce. Draw 1, draw 1. And then we don't have a means of closing things out, but we're just going to bottom deck 4 pieces and do it again. So spin 8 cards and set up a very large board. Death X, not something you really have to worry about in GraceNova. He's going to gain all that memory back. So he's going to try and do what he can, but he's going to recognize that he's out of options and he's going to scoop it up.
Matrix Digivolution.
What's poppin', Tamers? We're back with Player Armour once again. A bunch of people ask me why I drink Player Armour, and it's because they sponsor me. Duh. Jokes aside, I actually was drinking Player Armour before all of that, because I actually don't have much of a sweet tooth, and I find a lot of energy drinks to be too sweet, especially a lot of the powder brands. But the no sugar approach for Player Armour and their focus on more tart, like sour flavors, really suits my palate. The fruit punch is really just fruity and packs a nice kick. The blue raspberry is really, really nice as well, nice and sour, kind of like when you get those slushies. If you want something a little bit on the sweeter side, there's the strawberry lemonade, which is more strawberry than it is lemonade. And they do have the lemon flavors as well. And I can tell you for a fact that the new black cherry flavor goes foolish. Yeah, the way I mix mine is by getting the dry powder in and then getting a little bit of water in and just mixing it around to try and make a slurry. Then I add up to half the bottle and shake it a baby. The security is set, and we are going to be going into our 3rd and final game. He chose to keep it rather than mulligan because he was afraid of getting something worse, but ultimately doesn't find a rookie off the opening search. So we're just going to take that as an opportunity to just start gassing. If he does have a Flaremon, then obviously our Veemon gets popped. So that's why we're going to go into the Magnamon, which is just going to answer the board. The starter deck Magnamon really, really solid when it comes to just shutting things down like this, where it's just like they have to play aggressively. Gonna see the jamming, no draw, and then we're gonna go X antibody to swing warp into Magna X. It is gonna hit once again, and that is going to pseudo armor push down. So a free heal basically off that swing. And now we have an X antibody just to make sure that we'll always be able to redirect. We're going to go up into Garurumon Ace in order to get the Firemon stunned. And just to put another Magnamon in trash, we're gonna let the jamming go down. And there's going to be the Crescimon, which stops us from swinging on the crackback. So both of us are going to be stunned. Evolve for 0, draw. And then we're going to go a second Garurumon. Just because it's a nice cheap pass, we're going to draw 1. And then I think we're going to trash the Daiken because we don't really have time to play it. We're trying to just keep the tempo on as hard as possible to try and stop the... like an Apollo or a Diana from putting in work. But the problem is, now that we've got these aces on the board, we have to be very careful about evolving over this Garurumon, because a Diana would just suddenly print memory. Gonna strip out the 2 sources, but we do have X antibody, so it's not stunned yet. Can't do the protoform there. Instead, we're gonna protoform under here to evolve for 2. And then I think what we're doing now is we're fishing for a... I think we're fishing for a Heaven's Judgment to clear both. Strip 1 off of the Evo, but no bounce. So we do have to be careful. because if he drops a Ko here, turn the Diana into a Apollo, and then was able to spit out Grace Nova, it is a full tempo swing. You're gonna see Diana strip out the source, gains back 3. And then we can choose to redirect, but we're just gonna choose to leave it. Cressamon for 1. Oh no, Cressamon for 3 because it's not 3 sources under, so still gonna pay the full 3. And then just interestingly, Sayo and Ko lets you DNA at the start of their turn, regardless of whether it came out of the stack. We're going to use the Coronamon effect to print 2 memory, and then evolve for -1, thanks to the Sunmon, so just a full-on 0. And this is them just checking the rule and confirmation. So I know I'm about to get Grace Nova'd here. They're actually going to do it off of 2 stacks rather than make a brand new one, which is pretty funny to actually see it just general DNA'd. Obviously, it's still going to be an end of turn DNA, going to get the Blitz, and we're just going to let it go through. It does pop the... It does actually pop the Diana, but then also the Apollo check will kill off the Ace, so it does get to get turned back. So a very interesting interaction there where getting greedy and swinging did get some value, but also then cost him, and then we're just going to use the Heaven's Judgment to -24k because we do have yellow, blue, black, and then the single 6k for a big old 24k shrink to blow through all those blue sources. And there was a lot of sources committed to stack there. I don't even know if we have any level 4s. The fact that it hasn't been played means I think we're looking at... Yeah. Instead, going to play a Tamer and then going to stun the Magnemon. I can't remember if the Magnemon has been stunned prior. You can see we're thinking about it. Playing the Shu Yulin. The idea, I think, there's 3 security, is to go for Fire Rocket and Alliance, but instead we're just going to see the scoop, and we are going to close out game 3. Too much damage done with that Heaven's Judgment. It's just going to set him back too far. As always, if you liked what you saw and are happy to see that Armour is putting on a tear, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. And as always, have yourselves a damn good one.